Hello and welcome to Low Carb Conversations. I'm your host, Leah Williamson, and I'm with my host, Holly Jean. Welcome, Holly.
Hi, Leah. How are you?
I'm really good, actually. I've just been out in the park teaching some yoga, so I'm feeling nice and relaxed and back home here ready to record this podcast. What about you?
Good. We are opposites though. We're not normally like this. Usually it's very early in the morning for you and my midday, and now it's your later in the day and my
Your
late
midnight.
at night. So we're swapping roles. So I am not quite as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as you, but
I might be switched on today.
Well, I know by the time this episode comes out, I'll already have been at the Las Vegas Keto episode or expo, but I am prepping to go to Las Vegas. I'll be connecting with a lot of the friends that we've talked to on the show before, like Dr. Anna Becca and Ryan Lowry, who we just had on, Ben Azadi. And I know I'm forgetting people, but I'm really excited to get ready for that trip and see people in real life and get to see all the new keto products and vendors that are coming out.
I'm excited for you. I wish I was there. Like, we'll have to just hope this world opens up, travel together and go and do some expos together and meet everybody. So
yes,
hopefully you'll see some. I was going to say, hopefully you'll see some different people there and get some guests lined up for the podcast as well.
Yeah, I do have a wish list of people to meet and invite on the show. So I know we have our schedule booked out for this year, but starting next year, we can get some fresh faces on.
Sounds good. I was going to ask you, Holly, what are some things that you're loving at the moment? I wanted to tell you about one that I just saw. I haven't got to try it yet, but I'm super excited. I saw that our friends at Earth Echo Foods, who do cacao bliss, which I have a cacao bliss like every day, have just brought out a chai bliss with chai flavors. So I'm really excited to try that one.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. I'm always looking for a good chai latte alternative because if you order a chai latte at any of like the major coffee stores, they are just loaded with extra sugars. And so I love how the Earth Echo brands and products don't have any of that added extra sugar, but they still have such yummy taste. So I would love that too, because I am a big chai latte fan, but I don't get to indulge as much as I would want to.
Yeah. And we have a code for the cacao bliss too, if people are interested, on our show notes. So just head over to the show notes. You'll find our sponsors there. Cacao Bliss got a code to order some delicious cacao bliss. Also, you'll see some outer aisle gourmet code there for some cauliflower thins, and also Mountain Rose herbals, which, Holly, tell us about what you've been doing with the Mountain Rose.
Yeah, so I actually just got to strain my fire cider. I ordered a bunch of herbs and spices from them a couple months ago. Got it. I made fire cider, which is kind of like a healing tonic, like one of those like traditional foods where you put in turmeric and garlic, onions, rosemary, and jalapeno peppers and all these things that are really good for the immune system. And you soak them with apple cider vinegar for a few weeks and let them all get marinated and happy. So it's kind of like an elixir, I guess you would say. And then you strain all this stuff out, and it's really good for supporting your immune system. If you feel like you may be coming down with something, all you need is a little tablespoon and you get all those antioxidants and benefits from all those really healthy foods.
I love fire cider. Anytime you feel like a little niggle coming on, a little bit run down or anything like that, yeah, just a shot of the fire cider and you're feeling good to go. And actually, my husband, not even during when he's feeling sick, my husband like has a shot of the fire cider just about every day. So he loves it just to keep his immune in check with that.
Yeah, I like it too. It has, if you like a little bit of spice, and if you like garlic, then you'll love it.
Sounds good. I love horseradish. Do you put horseradish in yours?
Yes, there's horseradish in it too, and ginger.
Yeah. And horseradish is so hard to get hold of. I don't know if it is the same in the US, but in Australia, to get organic horseradish, it's like rare as anything. So when you find it, you like hang on to it and like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what's so great about the Mountain Rose herbs is that they have all those things in stock where maybe you can't find it at your local grocery store or somewhere in town, but they have it and you can just order it right to your house.
Sounds good. Maybe, Holly, you should post your fire cider recipe for everybody so that they can get on and give that a go.
I actually use the recipe that's on the Mountain Rose
All right.
website. So just
let's
go there,
link that
search
up.
for fire cider. Yeah, because that was the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, this is our co-host episode. So we're going to review the previous episodes in case you haven't had a chance to catch up on those. And maybe you might hear a little tidbit that we liked from it and then want to go back and have a listen to it if you haven't had a chance. And so the first one we're going to look at is episode 444, which was with Dr. Ken Berry. I've been wanting to talk to Dr. Ken for so long. I don't know why we haven't had him on the podcast. He is just the coolest guy, the coolest doctor around, straight talking, tells it like it is. So I was really excited to interview him. He talked to us about the one thing that I really wanted to talk to him about, but I had some questions from people, was about skin tags, and people had asked me like whether what is the underlying reason of a skin tag. And I was like, I'm sure I've seen a video Dr. Berry's done where it was all to do with insulin resistance and skin tags. And sure enough, he came on and talked to us about that. So I was glad to be able to answer that question for some people that I'd been talking to. What were your takeaways from this podcast, Holly?
Yeah, I loved talking to him. He makes everything sound so easy and like interesting, like we could have talked to him forever. But I really liked the way he explained insulin, because I know people relate insulin to blood sugar, but insulin is also a growth hormone. And so that explains why we get skin tags, because it's growing your skin, whether it's your waistline or your skin. And the connection for me there was I experienced skin tags appearing during my pregnancies, and I didn't think anything of it, because if you search symptoms or things that happen during pregnancy, skin tags is such a common thing, but you don't ever read about it being due to insulin. And it wasn't until recently in these last couple of years, like going back through my health history and how some symptoms that I had during pregnancy, where it's very likely that I had gestational diabetes that just went undetected. And so the conversation with him really also helped put things in perspective for me and my own health, and just in relation to insulin.
Yeah, definitely. And we also talked about time restricted eating as well, like the differences between that and intermittent fasting. And we also talked about our skin again. We had a couple of episodes where we're just talking about the effect that sugar has on your skin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And how eating, like when you're eating less sugar, you're eating more of those healthy fats and quality oils and all that. Less sugar and the presence of healthy fats are going to give you glowing, radiant skin from the inside out.
Oh, you sound like just like an advertisement.
I know, I'm an infomercial.
Lovely. All right.
If
well,
only I had an avocado farm.
Yeah.
Like, buy some avocados.
Yeah. Put them on your face. Episode 444, Dr. Ken Berry. Go and check that one out if you haven't. His YouTube videos, he's got hundreds and they are so amazing. If you need a YouTube video on something, you've got a question, just go there, and he's got such good resources. So episode 444. And then we had episode 445 with Devin Burke. Devin was, I felt like he was a real surprise. He talked to us about sleep. He's a sleep expert and he's got a sleep academy. And yeah, we really just drilled him with all questions about sleep that we had on our minds, that we've, like, whether we've heard from other people or particularly to us. I know I was in particular asking him on that episode about whether I could catch up on my sleep deficit or not by going and taking a nap. And so so he had some good insights into that, and he was basically saying that, well, you can if it's every now and then, but you wouldn't want to take a nap regularly, because then that can affect your long-term sleep. So what was your takeaways, Holly?
Yeah, that was such a good conversation with him. And it was just kind of ironic that we talked to the sleep expert the week that you and I were both like totally sleep deprived.
Yes.
There's even a funny moment where I forget what I was going to say. And he says, well, that's one of the side effects of sleep deprivation. He
Yeah.
called me out on it. But the one thing I really liked about him is like we've talked to sleep people before and we've talked about the importance of sleep before. And it's usually focusing on the things that you need to do to optimize your sleep or to make your environment the best for sleep. And he really, yes, supports those things, but also talks a lot about taking the pressure off of having to make your environment so perfect and just letting go of some of those restrictions you might have, because that adds to stress and anxiety, which hinders your sleep. So I thought that was a really refreshing take that he had.
Yeah, I love that as well. And he was just such a great presenter and speaker as well. So he's like, if you haven't watched it, he's just worth listening to because he's just so well spoken about it. But I love that sleep pressure as well. And I think you can apply that to so many other things. It doesn't have to be sleep either. We are always trying to perfect and be perfect in the moment to do things. I remember once I was following something, I can't remember what it was like years ago. And I had to do 5 minutes of meditation and I had to have a green smoothie and I had to do this and I had to do that. And if you didn't get it done, I was so like, there was like 20 things I had to do in the morning before I even got out the door. And I'm like, I can't fit all of this in. So I was starting to become stressed about trying to fit all these things in. And that's the same kind of thing he's talking about with sleep. It's like, I'm not going to, before I go to bed, I'm not going to make sure everything's dark and put my lights out and do this and do a list of 20 things when I need to be winding down, not getting hyped up about whether I'm going to meet this perfectionism in my mind about all the things I need.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's worth listening to. There were a lot of nuggets and takeaways from that episode.
Yeah, that's my little rant for today. So, all right, episode 445 with Devin Burke. And then our last one, just recently last week, we had episode 446 with Ryan P. Lowry. We've had Ryan on before. He's always good fun. He's got a website called the ketogenic.com. We thought actually, we were going to talk about keto, but we didn't actually end up talking about keto so much. We talked more about metabolic health, which all goes hand in hand. But it was really quite good to speak to him about this metabolic health, good factors for that. Holly, we talked about exercise and why that's more important than weight loss. And we also talked about a new study that had come out that was linking insulin resistance and depression as well. So there's a lot of really great topics that all kind of fed into that one. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, we covered a lot of bases with that one for sure. We did talk about keto a tiny bit in the beginning and mostly just touching on how the trend for keto is more of a relaxed approach right now. I guess that's a theme of what we've been talking about, to relax sleep, relax keto, where it's not so dogmatic about counting macros and stuff, but it's more of like this low carb keto type of flex approach that is really appealing to a lot of people right now. And that's kind of where the keto movement is going. And then, just talking about how the scale isn't the only ultimate measure of health or success when it comes to your metabolic health and how all that, there are other factors to consider. And one of them is your mental health and stuff. So we had a really good conversation, just as like hodgepodge of stuff, but there were a lot of good takeaways from that one too.
That's right. And hopefully we'll see a photo of you and Ryan at the Las Vegas Expo together next week.
Yep.
This out. So that was episode 446, Ryan Lowry. So those 3 episodes, if you haven't caught up on those, really worth going back and taking a look. We've got some awesome guests coming up. We've got some great topics. We've got so you interviewed Rebecca Farmer just recently, Holly. I was away for that one.
I did. And Rebecca, if you oh gosh, I can't think of her Instagram handle right now, but she has one of the most inspirational health stories like we've probably ever had on the show. And she's just like a little ray of light. So that is an excellent episode coming up. And we have
the Holistic Connector.
Yes, Holistic Connector. That was so good, talking all about parasites. That was a fun one.
His name's Michael, is it?
Michael McNeil. Michael McNeil.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is going to be a great episode. So make sure you tune into these ones coming up. I'm not going to give too much away, but I really enjoyed chatting with him. So yeah. So yeah, great stuff coming up. Got lots of guests booked in. So yeah, going to finish off the year with a bang. All right. So we've got a few articles. I said before that I was going to only rant once, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to rant through this article. So this article that I found is called "Enough of the Marketing Trickery. Fake meat is not meat," which we pretty much know, right? There's been a lot of social media, people talking about it, just how bad this fake meat is, in terms of the ingredients that are in a lot of them, and whether they're healthful or not. And I think, Holly, you've got an article where we're going to go a little bit more into that. But this one was more around like the marketing that's being used for this and how it's tricking a lot of people. So Australian meat producers have called on the producers of plant-based meat alternatives to stop using animal imagery and wording such as beef, bacon, chicken, mince, and sausages on a product packaging or in marketing material because it's leading to confusion. And they're saying that they did a survey and people were actually like, at least, was it like once a week or something, people were accidentally picking up the wrong meat because it's in the, like, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but in Australia, it's in with the meat. And you'll have all the minces together and they'll have a plant-based mince in with all the mince, which to me doesn't seem right. I don't know. This is my personal
especially
opinion.
Like if you're someone who is like a very strict vegan or vegetarian,
yeah, you don't want to go to
me,
the
I
meat
would think
section.
that's really off-putting to be picking up like my plant-based meat that's right next to like meat.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, I wouldn't want to be doing that either. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. So it's kind of like, anyway. So yeah, people were finding it confusing because it has like maybe like the word meat somewhere on it or a picture, and so they did this survey and people were saying, so there was the people responsible for the survey, they were Tasmanian meat-based and plant-based products. So they were like, they look after the meat and they look after the veggies and stuff like that. And they were saying that like, these products, they want to be celebrated for being fresh and flavorsome, not being so cleverly marketed that consumers don't even know what they're eating. Isn't that true? Like when I think about my food, I want it fresh, full of flavor, and know what I'm eating. I don't want to be tricked into eating something that I thought maybe was a meat, or maybe I'm eating a meat that's a vegetable. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that's where it's like, you have to figure out which camp you're in. If you're choosing to eat plant-based meats, like, are you doing it because you think it's better for your health and you want to incorporate more plants into your diet? Because we do know that having more of a plant or including more variety of plants in our diet can be very helpful for some people. But if you're choosing to eat more plants, but you'd rather be eating meat, and so you're picking products that are plants but it looks like meat, like I think it's just very different camps of people that they're marketing to.
Yeah, definitely. And it's becoming blurred.
It is.
They're just blurring. Yeah, and it's the same. We had the same example come up with the milks. So I know that the Australian Dairy Corporation, or whatever they're called, was getting really upset that the word milk was being used in nut milks, where a milk is really only comes from a cow, is what they were trying to say. These milks aren't real milk. And so I know that a lot of the packaging of nut milks and things like that now spell it MYLK instead of milk.
Just to make it more confusing, because if we're not being confusing enough with marketing, let's start giving things funky spellings too.
That's right. So yeah, so I don't know. It's, to me, I like, maybe if, I don't know if we do, but if we've ever had a vegan or vegetarian people listening, one thing that I always struggle with is like the restaurants that you go to that are vegan restaurants. Maybe we don't have any listeners that go to them, but I know that I've been to them before with like my book club. Each month someone chooses a restaurant and we all go to a restaurant. they have like beef and black bean on the menu and hamburgers and things like that on the menu called
Mhm.
those things, but they're plant-based. And to me, I feel like if I was going to be eating plant-based, I would want it just to be called eggplant, eggplant and parmigiana rather than lasagna or something like that, if you know what I mean.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I remember I've been to some really amazing vegan restaurants. I have nothing against vegan foods once in a while when they really are plant-based and not chemical-based. Um, but I remember the first time I went to like a really popular kind of chain vegan restaurant here, Native Foods, and I remember seeing like chicken strips on the menu and like salads with chicken or all this. And I had to ask the person, I was like, I thought this was a vegan restaurant. Like I was confused. So I can see how that could be really confusing to people because I thought I thought I was eating chicken and I was
Yeah.
not eating chicken.
Just call it tofu strips or whatever it is. You don't need to call it after the animal. That to me would be
Right.
off-putting too, especially if I was doing it for moralistic reasons and that kind of thing. So
Right. And like really what's the point of buying bacon flavored plants? Because I've seen like the vegan bacon. And I don't know. I think I just
yeah.
don't I'm not trying to like be rude or disrespectful, but I really just don't understand the vegan mindset of eating things that taste like bacon, but you don't want to eat bacon, but you want that bacon flavor. Or the one that really grosses me out are the burgers that bleed, like the
Oh,
plant-based burgers that bleed. And that's like a marketing selling point. I think Burger King has a plant-based burger that, and they market it as it's bleeding. And I'm someone who, yes, I do eat meat and I do eat hamburgers, but bloody hamburgers absolutely gross me out. And I
yeah.
don't care if it's made from a cow or made from a plant, but that's just disgusting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand either. I'd like to understand it. So
Well,
if you're
maybe we could
listening,
have a vegan or a vegetarian on the show that could explain all this to us.
maybe that'll be controversial. All right.
I know, but you know what?
Yep.
There's nothing controversial about asking questions from people who have different beliefs than us.
Yeah, that's right.
We can always have that conversation. We don't have to have the same beliefs or dietary preferences, but we can learn from each other.
Very true.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
All right. So the next article, I think, Holly, you've selected goes with this one. So let's have a chat about that one.
It does. And this one is just, again, with the fake meat debate. It's even called the fake meat debate. Are vegetarian substitutes healthier than the real deal? And I feel like we talk about this topic all the time, but it's still so relevant because there is still so much confusion. And whether it is from the marketing that is purposely confusing to where people don't know if they're eating meat or meat-based substitutes, or if they're eating meat substitutes because they think that is better for their health. I can't tell you how many people I talk to who say, oh, well, I had a steak last night. Oh, I know I shouldn't. Or they still talk about meat products as something sinful or unhealthy. And there's a lot of guilt around that. And I think it's because there is so much marketing that goes forward to make meat consumption seem like it's so bad. So this article, it says environmental experts across the world are in agreement that the meat industry is contributing to the climate crisis. I will interrupt right there and I will say experts across the world are not in agreement on that. So right there, this article has a red flag. It says industrial meat is one of the biggest causes of deforestation globally. Again, red flag. Not true. The findings of a survey by the Vegan Society, which should tell us right there why there's a lot of red flags.
Is there a bias?
Exactly. This was put out in May. It found that 1 in 5 people have reduced the amount of meat they are eating in the last 12 months. And of those who have cut back on their meat intake, 35% said that they were motivated by health concerns. 30% said the environment was their primary motivation. And additionally, 1 in 4 people said they had reduced their meat intake because of animal rights issues. Those are all things that I can respect, but I also think that there's a lot of misinformation, and there's a lot of things that mislead people into even believing, one, that meat is bad for their health, and two, that meat and growing meat is bad for the environment. That is something I will not argue if it's an animal rights thing like that. I can respect that if that's what it is. But if it's for the other two reasons, I really think that we need to dig a little bit further there. And I guess we can even just start with stuff we've talked about before, is just what these fake meat products are made out of. And the primary source is they're full of toxic oils. Soy, safflower, sunflower, corn, cottonseed, canola, if I already said that, peanut oil, all of those things we know are seriously impacting our health in a negative way. They are linked to obesity and diabetes and cancer and heart disease and inflammation and neurodegenerative diseases. These are things that are not health promoting. So if you're eating plant-based products with these ingredients in it, thinking that you're benefiting your health, you're doing the exact opposite.
And they're obviously being made mass produced in factories, which are emitting chemicals and, you know, toxins into the air and stuff like that as well, like the way that they're being manufactured. So yeah, I'd like to see the statistics on the production of these meats as well, these fake meats.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you are choosing plant-based for environmental reasons, you cannot deny the fact that the crops that are making up these plant-based foods are monocrop systems. They erode our topsoil, they destroy our environment, and they paint cattle as an enemy. But like our friends who do oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank right now? Diana Rogers and Rob Wolf, and they're doing that whole thing, the Sacred Cow Project, and just really talking about how regenerative farming is really benefiting the environment, and it's reducing all those carbon emissions. So there is a way to do farming properly that is not damaging to the environment, but pretending that you're eating a plant-based diet to save the planet, like that's just, it's wrong. Like,
yeah,
there's no way for me to sugarcoat it. It's wrong. It's not a truth.
And long-term health impacts of eating these new beyond like fake meats, there's no studies into this yet either, but I can't see how with all these inflammatory oils in them that they're going to be healthful for people. Interestingly, the other day I saw Dr. Pran Yoganathan, who we've had on the podcast before, had posted a comparison of the ingredients of the fake meats with dog food, which had
I just saw that. Yes.
Yeah. And it had the same ingredients in it. Like, firstly, I was actually sad for the dogs, because anybody that is feeding their dogs that, like those foods, the dog's not going to be healthful either. So that's, you know, that's kind of sad. And secondly, like, then we're putting it into our own bodies as well. Like,
yeah,
you know,
well, I know so many people that feed their pets and animals and dogs way better than they feed themselves. So I think if we shed more light on the fact of how unhealthy these foods are for dogs, then maybe people could think, oh no, I'm not going to feed Fido that. And then think, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat that either.
I just always compare it to, like, you know, my parents, you know, they probably didn't know better, but they used to feed my dogs growing up the dog food out of the can, and those dogs had horrendous bowel habits. And our dog, we feed a real food, raw diet, and he just does little neat ones, and we just not even bothered by them. So so I think it makes you can see the difference there of the foods.
Yep. If you feed people or dogs ish, they're going to have messy, yucky ish.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, yeah, so interesting articles here, like reading the labels, making conscious choices for whatever reason it might be, but doing the research if you're choosing these foods, if you're going to be, you know, or for whatever reason, just make sure you're making informed choices, basically.
Right. And not just listening to the marketing from a commercial or from an article you're reading or from an influencer you're following, and really look into what the ingredients are and how they're sourced. And we say that for anything, no matter what kind of dietary philosophy or beliefs you're following, you owe it to yourself as a consumer to know what you're eating and where it comes from.
Too true. All right. Well, that's the end of today's episode. Thanks, Holly.
Thanks, Leah. It was good catching up with you.
Yeah, it was good. Our theme music is created by Andrew Bowden, and production services are by Kevin Kennedy Spain of Disc of Light Media. Have a great week, everyone.
Have a great week. Bye.